Dearborn Essentials of New Jersey Real Estate, Chapter 3, Key Terms. Okay. My video camera is doing this weird little purple thing over here because of skylight hitting it and everything like that. So I'll let you listen to my smooth baritone voice and pay attention to the key terms popping up on the screen. If you've watched any of my key terms videos before, you know what to do. These are little flashcard kind of things that will help you through. I say the term, wait 5 to 10 seconds, tell you the definition, and add anything that I think is relevant. Okay, so good way for you to create flashcards. Flashcards are super important. I always say flashcards are the key to the game. Independent contractor. So I didn't even tell you we were going, but we're going now. Independent contractor, first one. Independent contractor. This is a salesperson who sets their own hours, pays own estimated income taxes, etc. I don't like that they put salesperson. It could be a broker salesperson. I say I would actually rephrase that with individual who sets their own hours, pays own estimated income taxes, etc. Because there are independent contractors in various things. I do public speaking engagements as an independent contractor, and I set my own hours. I pay my own estimated income tax, and I am contracted out for usually a specific task. They want my beautiful smiling face for a presentation or something like that, or continuing education, something of that nature. So I am an independent contractor. I'm not a salesperson in that response. So again, I would probably rephrase it with individual, okay? Because it could apply to several different things. Next one. Kickback. Kickback. That means relax, chillax. An illegal sharing of a commission. A kickback usually is referred to in a RESPA as a RESPA violation, as if you're getting some sort of kickback for recommending an attorney, recommending a lender, or suggesting that they should use somebody and getting some sort of benefit from that. And it doesn't need to be a sharing of a commission, so I kind of don't like that, because a kickback could also be I'm a big hockey fan, so attorney gives me hockey tickets. That would be an illegal sharing of something, not a commission necessarily, but kickback is going to be that. Latent defect. Latent defect. Problem not discoverable by normal prudent inspection. Whenever you take a listing, whenever you're going through a home, you should have a normal prudent inspection. What I mean is open your eyes. It's something that you should be able to discover, any kind of defects. A latent defect is a problem that is probably not going to be discoverable by normal prudent inspection that you should be doing. Okay, you should be doing a visual inspection. You should be able to see, hey, there's a 5-foot hole in the ceiling. That stuff you should be able to see. Law of agency. Law of agency. These are the rules governing conduct of agents. Now, the law of agency, we have to keep in mind, too, that this permeates through to other aspects of, they're speaking of general agency here. So they're speaking, when they say agents, they're not necessarily referring to just real estate agents. They're talking about someone who's working in an agency capacity. So the law of agency has to do with an individual who is designated as an agent working in the capacity of legal agency. So the law of agency is just that, of someone who has power of attorney is working as an agent, not a real estate agent, but an agent. Someone who has is a guardian for someone. Okay, so if you're a legal guardian of someone, you're an agent of that individual. Okay, so the law of agency will apply, and the law of agency is the rules governing the conduct of agents. Listing agreement. Listing agreement. This is a contract by which an owner retains a broker to find a buyer. Listing agreement basically is when a homeowner, okay, basically says to a broker, hey, market my home. That's a listing agreement right there. There's a better way to probably put that. Again, I'm just taking this from the book and then adding my stuff in as we go. Meeting of the minds. Meeting of the minds. This is agreement between a buyer and a seller on major points. Meeting of the minds. And also, if we're just talking general terms, a meeting of the minds could be something where you just agree on major points. Something that, like, my wife and I agree on the same place to have dinner. That, first of all, that would be a miracle. Hell would freeze over. She doesn't watch my videos either. And if she is, hey, love you, honey. But what I'll tell you is it's usually not just reduced to an agreement between a buyer and a seller. It could just be an agreement between two individuals on major points of any type of agreement that you need. Okay. Megan's Law. Megan's Law. This is legislation requiring communities to be ordered in the presence of sex offenders. Couple notes here. As a real estate professional in the state of New Jersey, you cannot disclose the presence of sex offenders in a particular zip code until that individual purchases the home in that particular zip code. Even if you have knowledge, you cannot disclose that. They'll get you on this as far as the question is concerned. What's the reason why? Usually sex offenders are transient. They don't stay in a community long to establish roots. They're not, and again, I'm making a lot of generalities. I'm making generalities about sex offenders and people who are registered as sex offenders. Generally, there is a transient nature. So if a town has an influx of, an exorbitant amount of sex offenders, it's something that the legislatures who drafted this law and put it and signed it into law, they basically did not want to hurt the individuals within the community in an economic sense. So there's going to be transient sex offenders in the area, and if they are in the area, they simply wanted to make the community aware of it and wanted to prevent any potential issues or concerns that might come up from there being that individual. There are things on the internet. There's things that you can do outside of that. I would direct. I would let your clients know. Look, you don't have to be necessarily upfront with the fact that you can't tell them. But if it is a concern that does come up, you have to let them know that the legislation, the way it is written right now in 2019, does not allow for there to be any kind of ex parte information taken out of context of them living in that town. So if they do not live in that town, that zip code, they can't have that information that of sex offenders in that town. Okay. Power of attorney. Power of attorney. This is written authorization of agency. I don't like this definition at all. I would rather say the power of attorney is an example of universal agency. This is an example of universal agency in which the agent has, purview and agency over the principal in many different aspects of their life. There's many different aspects of their life. Like if I have power of attorney for my grandparents, I could go pick up prescription medication for them. I could buy a car. I could sell their home. I could sign off on all those things. Okay, so the power of attorney is really an example of universal agency. Principal. Principal. The one employing the agent, the client. Okay. So here's the thing. Someone who has a guardian, they are actually the principal. Okay. So they are the one employing the agent or the client, whichever one is appropriate given the agency relationship. In a guardianship, it would just be the person employing the agent, the person who has that agency relationship, the one that we're going to use as the as defined as the principal. Okay. So the child would be the principal. Okay. The guardian would be the agent. All right. In regards to universal agency, the person employing the agent would be the one who, like in the example of my grandparents are the principal. Okay. In the listing agreement example, where the seller is employing a broker to sell their home, the principal would be the client in that situation, and that's something that would establish that agency relationship. And a listing agreement establishes a special agency relationship unless there is some sort of property management aspects of that relationship, which it would probably fall into general agency. It would never fall into universal. So it's typically special agency, sometimes could be general agency, rarely, if ever, would be universal agency. Okay. Procuring cause. Procuring cause. This is the one who brings about the sale. I also say this is the one who brings about an unbroken chain of events that leads to a meeting of the minds. Because you can sue for a commission if there is a meeting of the minds, and then people just kind of throw their arms up and go, oh, well, you know, I don't want to go forward with this. You can technically, as a real estate professional, sue for commissions because it is said to be earned once you bring about a meeting of the minds. Okay, so procuring cause is the one who brings about a meeting of the minds, okay, through an unbroken chain of events, no abandonment, anything like that. Also, procuring cause is sometimes hard to identify. That is one of the textbook things about procuring cause. It is sometimes hard to identify. If I look at a situation and I say, I think that person A is procuring cause, there's probably a chance that someone else could come to it very easily, say person B was procuring cause. It is sometimes hard to identify. I'd actually say it's almost always hard to identify who procuring cause is. Puffing. This is harmless exaggeration as salesmanship. Often we read these wonderful descriptions of homes, and the words that they use are exactly that, puffing. Homes immaculate, stunning, spacious, beautifully updated, blah, 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 blah. Harmless exaggeration, also known as salesmanship. Ready, willing, and able buyer. Ready, willing, and able buyer. This is one qualified and prepared to purchase. Okay, I would put an asterisk on this and also say with no duress, because something that they said in this one was this: ready, willing, and able buyer. Ready and able buyer is more what they kind of described. Ready, willing, and able buyer would probably have no duress put on them, no duress at all put on them, because once you become in a state of duress where you must buy, you must purchase a home, you're no longer a willing participant in this. You are a ready and able buyer, but ready, willing, and able would definitely lead to there being no duress. That's my only asterisk on this, my only key point. Salesperson. This is a person licensed to assist a real estate broker and for real estate services. We've talked about this key terms chapter 1. Okay, here it is. It comes up again. And this is something that I love about this book. I love that they repeat things because I think repeating things is the key to success on this. So the person licensed to assist a real estate broker. Because again, the agency relationship is actually between broker, brokerage, and the client, and the principal. Okay? You're just a representative of the broker. Special agent. One authorized to act for another in a specific transaction. When you're employed through a listing agreement, okay, as a representative of the broker, we should say that now that we've established that. We should kind of use that language. One authorized to act for another in a specific transaction, like the example I was saying, a listing agreement would be one of them. A buyer's agreement, if you're just helping someone find a home, that would be an example of special agent. Okay, special agent. The listing agreement, here's the thing, this is where it comes into some sort of general agency, is if you have some sort of, if it is a, what was I going to say, if it is a property that you have to do some sort of property management, let's say it's a vacant home and they're asking for some sort of property management, then I would say that would fall into general agency. But if not, it would be special agency. So special agency would be what it is. Subagent. We don't really have that much more anymore. But subagent. This is an agent of an agent. We used to have subagency when buyer agency didn't exist. Okay. So every supposed buyer's agent was actually a subagent of the seller's agent. Okay. That caused all different kinds of issues. Then the creation of buyer agency kind of came to be, and we have that now, so that buyers now have fiduciary responsibilities owed to them. Okay, so we owe buyers fiduciary responsibilities when we work as a buyer's agent. What are the fiduciary responsibilities? Remember, cold with an A, care, obedience, accounting. Everyone gets that mixed up. It's not accountability, it's accounting. Loyalty and disclosure. Why do we say accounting? Why do I stress that? I stress that because accountability kind of is care and obedience kind of mushed into one, in my opinion. And accounting, if you're working as an agent, okay, in an agency relationship for someone, you're basically representing someone, you have to be able to do some basic math. I'm not talking accounting, like you have to be a CPA, but you have to know 2 plus 2. You have to be able to balance a ledger of some sort, you know. If you're going to be representing someone, you have to have some sort of accounting skills. So it's accounting, care, obedience, accounting, loyalty, disclosure. Transaction broker. Transaction broker. This is one who facilitates a transaction without functioning as an agent. So they own fiduciary responsibilities to no one. They just owe fair and honest dealing to both parties. So they don't owe loyalty, disclosure, care, obedience, or accounting to any of the parties involved. They just owe fair and honest treatment. Okay, that's all you'll get from a transaction broker. They basically facilitate a transaction, and they are as neutral could be. Code of ethics. Code of ethics. Standards of conduct adopted by Realtors. Realtors. So the code of ethics is really something that realtors have to abide by. So if you decide not to be a realtor, you do not have to abide by the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics. It's actually kind of interesting. So one of the first things that you do if you have an ethics complaint, see if the person's a realtor. If they're not a realtor, you don't have much of an ethics complaint. You might have a legal situation. Here's the thing: legality and is it legal and is it ethical are sometimes two very separate questions, because something can be perfectly legal but unethical. Okay, something could be unethical but legal. And I think I just said that the same way. But you get what I'm saying. It could be one without being the other. Okay, and standards of conduct adopted by realtors. Conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. This is a problem when serving the best interests of both client and oneself. Conflict of interest, I think that even if you never took a real estate course, you would understand what a conflict of interest is. So I'm going to keep on rolling. Errors and omissions insurance. Every broker needs to have this. Errors and omissions insurance. This is the real estate equivalent to malpractice insurance. Sometimes a broker makes the individual agents pay for errors and omissions insurance on an annual basis, quarterly basis, monthly basis. It really depends. See your broker for more details. But real estate equivalent to malpractice insurance. That's exactly what it is. Fraudulent misrepresentation. Fraudulent misrepresentation. It's intentional fraud. There is no other way to put it. It is intentional fraud. Fraudulent misrepresentation is intentional fraud. Graduate of the Realtor Institute. This is a designation awarded for advanced study. Now there is, that's abbreviated GRI. There's alphabet soup that you can basically get after your name. There's ABR, RENE, MRP, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Usually these are designations that are seen and viewed by the real estate community. The general public usually doesn't know what these are. So sometimes you either have to educate them or have things in your email signature that kind of lead them to understand what it is that all those alphabets are at the end of your name. These are things that you don't have to go for. Some argue that it's very good. Some argue that it isn't. I have a bunch of letters after my name, and I have never had a client say to me, "Oh my gosh, you're an ABR. That's exactly what I needed." They don't. I do it more so for myself, and the letters at the end of my name are just added benefits. Innocent misrepresentation. Innocent misrepresentation. This is unintentional deception committed in ignorance. Okay. On innocent misrepresentation. Innocent misrepresentation could result in the contract just not being valid, not being enforceable, things like that. So unintentional deception committed in ignorance. The National Association of Realtors. National Association of Realtors is a private, nationwide organization of brokers and salespersons. So this is a private trade organization you have to become a member of. In becoming a member, you agree to mandatory arbitration between other realtors. So we kind of police ourselves in regards to ethics complaints when it comes to commissions, who should get what. We don't air it out in the court system in on the state level or on a local level. We do it with mediation through our private nationwide organization. We also abide by the code of ethics that they set forth every year, and also our dues and payments that we make to the National Association of Realtors. If we do decide to become a member of the National Association of Realtors and use the term realtor in our daily business to describe ourselves, goes towards lobbying, and there's also Realtors Political Action Committee. There's a whole bunch of things that it goes into, but I am not going to continue further with that. It is a private nationwide organization. Negligent misrepresentation. Negligent misrepresentation. This is fraud committed by someone who should have known better. So negligence is fraud committed by someone who should have known better. They should have known that that was something that was fraudulent. Okay. The New Jersey Realtors. It's a statewide version of the National Association. So when you become a realtor, you have to join the national, state, and local boards. So I myself am a member of the National Association of Realtors, the New York and New Jersey State Association of Realtors, the Staten Island Board of Realtors, and the Monmouth Ocean Regional Realtors in New Jersey. So there are all different kinds of organizations that you would subsequently have to be a member of in order to be a realtor in that trade organization of the National Association of Realtors. Realtor, member of a private national organization. I think I beat this into the ground. Realtor, the member of a private national organization. Standard of care. This is our last one, guys. Standard of care. Standard of care is competence that is normally expected. Competence that is normally expected. Guys, gals, thanks so much for listening to me. Wish you the best of luck and have a great day.